So if you guys don't know, this October there's going to be a speedrun tournament held by the moderators that run the leaderboards. Only 16 people get in, and the top 16 basically are guaranteed to get in if they apply. Now, interestingly enough, I'm actually at spot number 17. Now, I'm still very confident that I'll be accepted into the tournament, mainly because not everyone in the top 16 will apply, and also that I have 2 weeks to get a better time and climb up the leaderboards a little. If I still don't make it in, I'll just rig the thing because I'm a verifier. Now, I want to take this period to train for the tournament and share a lot of the things that I've practiced and how I'm doing things. The way the matches will work is that both players will get the same seed with a temple and a viable source of wood to blow up. Because a lot of stuff is somewhat guaranteed, triangulation is the biggest factor between winning and losing. Not to mention that triangulation is my biggest weakness in comparison to other skills. What makes a good triangulation segment is keeping angle, navigation, and how many eyes you throw. This week I'll be working on a lot of triangulation in place of normal speedrunning. To gauge progress over this week, and perhaps the next, I did 8 practice runs. For comparison, I spawned in creative and began triangulating straight from where I spawned in. In a normal run, I would usually find myself a couple hundred blocks from spawn before throwing the first eye, but immediately triangulating from spawn, it was a way to keep things relatively consistent between practice runs. The first one was the fastest, reaching the stronghold in 4:29. I had used an ocean for some of the travel, and the stronghold was around 1640 blocks away. The second run did not finish, with the stronghold being in the ocean yet unexposed. Without a valid spot to spawn that was close by, the stronghold had to break the rule of not starting generation in an ocean. The third run wasn't great, taking 7:18 to get to a 2000 block stronghold, despite having an ocean. The biggest reason was losing angle early in the run. Also, this happened. The fourth run was even worse, another DNF with an ocean. But this time, the stronghold was 2,736 blocks away. I once again lost angle early in the run. The fifth run was mediocre, taking 6:27 to get to a 1,500 block stronghold. Angle was kept very well, but the terrain was riddled with trees and mountains. The sixth run was pretty good, taking 5:20 to find a 1,700 block stronghold with only a little ocean. It was a combination of good navigation and angle keeping. I also want to note that the portal room was very lucky, and so is the perch. The seventh run was mediocre, taking 7:08 to reach a 1,600 block stronghold without any ocean and bad terrain in general. And the last run took 6:19 to get to a 1,800 block stronghold, once again with the help of an ocean. Now, while a lot of these times seem bad, I do want to stress that these times are basically all the combined time going in the general direction of the stronghold. Around 30 to 60 seconds get cut off triangulation because you already covered that amount of ground throughout the run. I do also want to note that I did a couple of unrecorded runs and included them into our next segment, stats. The easiest way to order the runs is by total time. Then you can sort them by how fast I traveled in blocks per minute. On average, I traveled 287 blocks per minute, as represented by this graph. The flatter the graph, the better. By the end of this week and the next, I'll be making similar graphs to track improvement. Now, some of the things I've taken note from the 8 runs that I did is that throwing more eyes results in a better time. Well, duh, but more specifically, throwing more eyes helps you keep angles, especially for our diagonal angles, which are very hard to differentiate. Not to mention, throwing every couple hundred blocks after a certain distance is necessary because the stronghold can be anywhere. The absolute worst thing to do is to overshoot it. Another easy way to keep angle is to associate it with each 45-degree interval. During one of the runs, I thought of the angle as straight but slightly to the right, instead of randomly diagonal. To elaborate, I've drawn up each 45-degree interval, and this black line represents the angle of the eye. Say, if the angle goes like this, then it's pretty much a perfect 45. Or similar if it's straight, up and down. However, if you get something like this, you can start to think of it as straight, but a slight bias to the left. Instead of just thinking, oh, I just gotta run diagonal, which you'll probably end up sticking to this line because it's easier. Same applies for this kind of line, where it's diagonal, but not so much 45-degree angle. You can think of it as going straight ahead, but a slight bias this way. Now, there's a good chance that the improvement over the next 2 weeks could be very small, but at the end of the day, some practice is better than none, and I want to prepare as best I can. If you want to watch me do speedruns and possibly participate in the tournament, You can check out my Twitch, and join my Discord to hang out with me and some friends. See you next week.